Welcome back, Shalloners. We're going to keep on talking about our favorite family, the Kardashians. But for once, we're actually not going to be talking about their myriad romantic foibles. No polygraphs, no red table talks. We're going to be talking about boundaries because you guys have been tagging me in this clip all week and talking a lot about it amongst yourselves. It's a clip from the latest episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians where Kourtney says she wants to keep a lot of things, namely her romantic life, private and off camera, and says, I have boundaries. You need to respect them. This is not met so well from Khloe and Kim. They are not psyched on this. I'm going to break down both sides of this argument, but also most importantly, tell you what we can learn from this. What do you do if people in your life are not respecting your boundaries? But first, just want to remind you, if you have a love question, please go to my website, shallonlester.com, and click Get Help. Also follow me on Instagram at ShallonXO, and still consider donating to my fundraiser, a GoFundMe for a homeless mom of 3 living in Atlanta. A $25 donation gets you a free question. Just leave it in the comment section of the donation, and I'll answer it right on there. Or if you'd rather donate directly to Miss Sherry, you can donate. You can send her money on Venmo. She is out of food stamps until December 15th. So we're really trying to get her some money ASAP. So if you want to give her that, this is her info, and that would be lovely. She also has an Amazon wish list. I'm going to put all the links right down here in the video description, but an Amazon wish list is great. You can send toys and clothes and supplies like that directly to her. Okay, back to the case. So this was the drams. Kim and Khloe are mad at Kourtney because she's very secretive about her personal life. And you know what? Let's just watch the clip. Let's roll the clip.
Do you want to come inside?
Possibly.
I'm not literally dating anybody.
But we don't know, because we don't know anything about you.
What if I actually was? Then what? You bring the cameras here? It's so disrespectful.
Actually, it would be on camera.
If I have boundaries, respect them. Just because you love to show every single thing, because she likes to show every single thing.
No, I don't like to.
Well, just, you do, clearly.
Because that's our job.
It's not.
It's not our job.
There's a fine line. Our job is being open and honest and sharing a lot of ourselves, and it just seems like for the past few years now, Kourtney hasn't really been open about her personal life on camera. So all of the days that Kourtney isn't filming, Khloe and I are picking up the slack and having to share more, because if we're not sharing our lives, then what is the show?
Yeah, they are not happy. Sometimes you can tell when the drama is a little scripted or set up. This felt very, very real to me. I could see how annoyed Kim was and how annoyed Khloe was, and also how annoyed Kourtney was. I was also just very personally annoyed at Kourtney's outfit. She looked like Milhouse from The Simpsons. I'm like, why would you guys ever think she was going on a date or a booty call? Look at her. I want to launch her into the sky on a string. She looks like a kite. It's very bizarre. So my first reaction, when you guys were tagging me in this, you're like, yeah, respect boundaries. And I was like, I kind of am on team Khloe and Kim though, because here's the thing. They're talking about work, right? Would you like it if you went to work and your work husband, Michael's I'm not going to have that article done because you need to respect my boundaries. Oh, I didn't know this was a boundary-based thing. That is where Kim and Khloe are coming from. They're like, no, this is our job though. But you do need to have boundaries at work, And this is difficult. For the K's, for their show, the boundaries between personal and work and what's business and what's pleasure and who am I publicly and who am I privately, it's all very blurry. For most of us who work an office job or something like that, the boundaries can be much clearer, but you still have to set them anyway. When I was a magazine editor, I never checked my email when I wasn't at work. Never. And I had bosses get on my case about it. Coworkers yeah, Shallon didn't respond to the email. I was like, no, I didn't, because it was 9:30. I was home. I was doing whatever it is I do in my off time, making birdhouses, filming porn. It's up to me. I am in this office 9 hours a day, and when I am here, I am working. I'm not talking to my kids on the phone. I'm not having a cig outside. I'm not creeping around eating a salad. I'm working. And that's all the time you get from me. You want me to work 24 hours a day? You can pay me 24 hours a day. How about that? And that was just a boundary I set straight from the jump. Kourtney is in a different position because she has, I get what she said. She's like, I shared everything about my relationship with Scott. We saw her give birth. Like, we saw her placenta. She has shared. But I agree that lately she's just like very flat. It's like all she wants to talk about is like being gluten-free and this website that no one is going to, because it's like a paywall website. Like, Kourtney, I'm not paying a monthly fee to hear your Spotify breakup playlist. Something tells me I'm not going to do that. So I understand what Kim and Khloe are saying. They're like, okay, but for all of your boundaries, that's just more work for us. And essentially what you have there is a reverse meritocracy, right? And that's how my old office was. People who are like, I can't do that, or I don't want to do that. You should do it because you're more capable. You're just so much better at it. And that's what Kourtney said. She's like, Khloe, you like to share everything. And Khloe's like, no, I don't, but it's our job. Like, this is what we signed up for, So the less Kourtney wants to do, the more everyone else has to do. So I understand how Khloe and Kim are like really not happy about this. I don't think Kourtney adds like a ton anyway. I would rather see just like way more Kim. I also think it's interesting that on this episode, nobody mentioned how like Kendall and Kylie are like persona non grata in this show anymore. Kendall, I guess, is busy. Kylie is too boring. I have no idea. But it's just interesting that it's all been like localized on Kourtney. Oh, and Rob. God, I forgot he existed. So I also very much understand Kourtney's position, because let's take the work aspect out of this, right? Because we probably won't find ourselves on a reality show, and deciding what to share. Although I have actually been in that position. I remember when I did my reality show, I was on Downtown Girls. We were only on one season. It was in like 2011 or something like that. It was supposed to be like a real life Sex and the City, and I was the Carrie. But it was like all city and no sex. It was boring. But like, I remember you get really close with the producers, and they ask you every single thing about your life. Like, in the course of like getting the show made, because it took a while to get on the air. And at the beginning of one episode, like it was an episode a week that we shot, and they're like, this week, you're going to ask yourself, am I gay? I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not going to ask myself that. They're like, but you like girls, you've had threesomes. I was like, yes, but that's not the same as waking up and asking if you want to decide to be gay. Maybe I'm Chinese. Can you imagine doing something like that? That's ridiculous. Let me put on a bunch of bronzer. Maybe I'll be black. It's not a choice, okay? Not a choice. And just because I have hooked up with girls doesn't mean I want to talk about that on camera. Like, now in my 30s, I'm okay talking about it. Back then I was not. And they lost their mind. My director literally said, I can make you and I can break you. I was like, you haven't made shit, okay? So do your worst. But I stuck to my guns, and we didn't make that episode because I was like, this is so ridiculous. It's so offensive to the gay community. Like, maybe I'll be a bunny rabbit. Like, no, maybe you'll be mentally ill. How about that? You're going to look insane. So I get the boundaries in the reality show. Anyway, how can we learn from this, right? Because I get a lot of questions from you guys about boundaries. Only the thing is, you don't even know that you're asking about boundaries. But what it boils down to is exactly that. And I'm going to do, I think, maybe a whole video on this, like my New Year's resolution. Excuse me. Because long story short, it's boundaries. Maybe I'll just do the video now. Now that I do this job full time, I am so much more aware of energy output. I view energy like money. I spend energy the way I spend money. And I used to spend them almost the exact same way. right? As though they were renewable resources. Oh, if I can't afford that, I'll just take money out of my savings. I'll just put it on my credit card. I acted like I was creating more money, but I wasn't. I was going into debt. Same with energy. Oh, I'm tired. I'll just have a coffee. I'll just take an Adderall so I can stay up and write, so I can go out to this party. I'm just going to exhaust myself. It doesn't matter. I thought I was creating more energy and I wasn't. I was going into a deficit. I used to take Adderall for energy a lot until I got what I call and believe was Adderall poisoning. I was in Mexico on a press trip. It was for the Backstreet Boys. I was alive. I was so excited, but we were like not sleeping a ton. I was hungover. I was dehydrated. And it was time to go to the concert and hang out with BSB, like hang out with them. And I took like a quarter of an Adderall. It was maybe like 4 milligrams. It was not much. Within 20 minutes, I was throwing up. I threw up for 36 hours. The doctors had no clue what was wrong with me. They're like, it's not food poisoning. It's not like water poisoning. You don't have those symptoms. You know, it's not like weird Mexican water. And I'm like, it's Adderall poisoning. And they're like, what is that? I'm like, I'm telling you, I just know what this is. I was trying to wring something out of my body that it didn't want to give, and it had had enough. It laid me on my ass. I have not taken it since. But like, there was nothing to give. I thought I was creating more energy, and I was going into a deficit, and I went bankrupt that day. And since then, and also like I said, since I started doing this job, I've started to see energy like money. Where am I spending it? I said in a previous video, if we had to pay our enemies a cash dollar amount, $50 every time I stalked you online, $100 every time I thought about you, $200 every time I commandeered brunch to bitch. If we got an invoice at the end of that shit, we'd be like, oh, well, okay. And this is where boundaries come in. Because like I said, I've gotten really focused on energy. And now my boundaries gotta be firm and solid, because everything, every distraction, every chip away at my energy and my time chips also away at my money. Because now every single thing I do in this business has a dollar value. I know exactly how much money I make per video, per hoodie sale, per question, per everything. So if I spend time on something I don't care about, something that breaches my boundaries, the calculator is going in my mind, and I do have a dollar value for the fuckery. So I've had to totally shift my boundaries around, and people in my life do not like it. Do not like it. Because here's the thing with boundaries. When you tell your friends or your loved ones, you know what everyone says? Yeah, you know what? Good for you. Yeah, you need to just like be better with your boundaries. Oh, until they're on the wrong side of that fence, right? Until that boundary affects them. Because what have we said before? The only people who don't want you to have boundaries are the people who benefited from you having none at all, right? Your neighbors don't care that you have a fence if they're not trying to get on your property. Just a fence, build up, sure, build as high as you want. But a robber, someone who's out to get you, they don't want that. Tear that fence down. So one of my new boundaries is I don't do phone calls anymore. I don't want to be on the phone. I hate it. It's stressful. It makes me anxious. It's like doing a video. And I told somebody the other day, I was like, every time I have a phone call, that's energy I don't have for a video. Do you know how much money I make on a video? I do. It's a lot. And so this phone call cost me X amount of dollars. You are not worth X amount of dollars. I'll get together with you for lunch. I'll text all day long casually if you want. I'm not getting on the phone. And he was like, but I like the phone. I was like, that's great. There's 8 billion people in the world. Call them all. Just don't call me. Unless it's urgent. I was like, or we can do a call. This is a business thing. I'm like, we can do one business call a week, but that's it. And it's like, he didn't like that, and it hurt his feelings. And I was like, oh, I hate hurting people's feelings. But I hate hurting my feelings more. And this is our life's work as human beings. We have got to get comfortable with people not being happy with us when we are doing something to protect ourselves. It is truly one of the hardest things. I also think it's very hard for only children or children of single parents, because like I, as an only child, I never grew up like fighting with a sibling. Fighting and tension and someone not being mad at me is very unusual, very uncomfortable. I don't like it at all. And especially being a child of a single mom, it's like, if she was mad at me, that could go on forever. It could go on for the rest of my life if she wanted it to. I mean, it didn't. She's not like that, but like it could. Like, there was no one gonna come like kind of intervene, you know. Same with like me being an only child. Like, I didn't fight with siblings. We didn't like fight, make up, like punch each other and then hug and whatever. So when people don't like me, I'm like, huh, like I have no elasticity. And that's kind of a reason I admire the Kardashians, or not admire, but like I'm soothed by them, because they fight, they squabble so much, and then they're okay. And I'm like, oh, someone can be displeased with you and it's not the end of the world? I need to take some notes. This is an extremely foreign concept to me. So, sad. I'm using the Kardashians as an example of how to be. Oh, here we are. Here we are. But truly, it's like, you know what? If someone's mad, die mad. Die confused. Die confused. Why die confused? Because when you communicate your boundaries, something else happens. People are going to gaslight you. They're going to tell you that that boundary, I don't get it. Why? Why don't you want to talk about who you're dating on camera? Why don't you want to be on the phone? That's weird. Die confused. Sorry. I don't need to tell you anything. I don't need a PowerPoint presentation to justify why I don't like something or why I don't want to do it. But I usually do justify it to people. And I say, because I'm like, look, I don't want you to think I'm just not being punitive, or I don't like you, or I don't value you, or I'm not thinking about you. I need you to know the energy expenditure that is for me, you know? And look, maybe I'm just a wuss. Maybe I am a weakling and a failure to thrive, and Shallon can't do videos and be on the phone. No, you're friends with a weakling. That is, okay, if that's what I am, that's what I am. I'm going to be a weakling, a weirdo who is at peace. Because I realized that when I was letting people chip away at my boundaries, not because anyone's a bad person, people will push you as far as they can. That is human nature, right? Especially if you've never communicated these boundaries to them, or if you aren't even aware of them, you just feel this like, this anxiousness, this stress, and I gotta get on the phone, I gotta talk about who I'm dating. And you haven't even tapped into like, someone has breached your fence. Someone is on your property. You don't know where your property line is. You never drew it. So you gotta get out there and you gotta walk your own emotional perimeter, and you gotta see where it starts and ends. Take some time and sit with yourself. Be like, what makes me anxious? What feels like rest? I'm going to go with what feels like rest. Martha Beck has this quote that I love. When in doubt, choose the thing that feels like freedom. Wow. Isn't that amazing? Choose the thing that feels like freedom. And it might not always be what you think. I canceled an event the other night, an event I was actually really looking forward to, but I was wiped out from the day. I hadn't done any video, so I didn't have any makeup on. The idea of doing my hair and makeup, putting on a dress, walking a carpet, taking pictures, I'm like, I can't do it. I know it would be fun, but it feels like freedom to stay home. So that's what I did. And you know what? They were not happy. My friends were not happy. I was happy. And I would only have to make them happy for like 2 hours and deal with their happiness for like 2 hours. I got to deal with me 24 hours, 7 days a week. So what do you do if you have communicated your boundaries? I don't want to be on the phone. I'm not talking about my boyfriends. And people gaslight you. They're confused. They say, yeah, you should do that. Except when it comes to them, rules don't apply to them. What do you do? I texted my friend Becca today. I was like, I literally wish I had an app that would turn what I want to say into what diplomatically I should actually say in order to still have friends in my life. Because sometimes I'm gonna be like, rah, 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 rah. And when I get like that, when I get in that ragey, wanna like, I just like, shut the fuck up, leave me alone. Rah. It's not the other person's fault. It's my fault. Because I didn't draw my perimeter quite defined enough. I have a fence but there's a lot of holes in it. Because why? What we permit, we promote. What I permitted, I promoted. Did I answer the phone? Yeah, I did. Was I texting back to that crazy friend who's always in a crisis and never asks how I am? Yeah, I did. Did I unblock the fuckboy who DM'd me? Did you block me? Oh, I did. So, who's to blame? Me. That's where the rage is coming from. It's not directed at them. I mean, it is because they annoy me, but it is coming from inside the house, you know? And that's what you gotta chase. Okay, I'm watching people get through my fence. Instead of expecting the world to not try to get onto my land, maybe I should sit around and think about how to build a better fence. What was wrong with this one? Wasn't sturdy enough. People didn't know about it. You know, maybe something good to do is because the new year is coming up, send out like an email blast. Hey guys, these are my New Year's resolutions. New year, new me. Here's some things I would like to leave behind in 2019. Being on the phone, being on G-Chat all day long. I'm ditching Snapchat. Like whatever it is your thing is. Like I'm not drinking Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm having $0 days on the weekends where I don't spend any money. Whatever it is that you decide, put it out up front and then see what happens. And like I said, people are going to try to get in. They're going to try to get through your fence and you have to just hold the line. I'm not picking that call up. I'm not responding to yet another fuckboy crisis from my friend who should know better, which has been going on for 30 years. I'm not taking the bait when my friend is having another situation with her boyfriend and I've told her literally the same advice over and over and over again. Over and over again. Then come up with scripts. Write them out. Get one of your good friends who like doesn't annoy you like together and be like, this is what I want to say. It's insane. Help me translate this into something decent so that I can have this in my back pocket when XYZ scenario comes up. My friend Lizzie did this for me the other day where, you know, because I'm dealing with a friend who will not shut up about an ex. And I'm like, I've given you my advice. I'm not giving it to you again. It's like, here's how you make me feel right now. Imagine you're a doctor and you have a patient come in with symptoms. You give them cream and pills. They walk out and they throw those medicines in the trash can. And instead, they come back every single day complaining of the same symptoms. How would you feel if you were that doctor? Would you feel annoyed? Would you want to keep helping them? That's where we are, okay? And everyone kind of uses other people for their specialty, you know, and it's just hard for given what I do. It's like I help people all day long. And so people feel very entitled to my empathy. And of course, I want to give it to my friends, but, and I do, and that's fine, you know, but then we all have people in our life who aren't giving anything back, you know, and that's where my boundaries need to come in. People who are taking, and literally not caring if I'm dead or alive, unless it's to help them. Then I better be alive. Other than that, it doesn't really matter. So the way we combat this is we can communicate and be like, you know what? It's hurtful that you only reach out when you have a problem. And I can't remember the last time you asked me how I am. And I just don't feel like this is a reciprocal situation. I also don't feel like you're even listening to my advice. So it's frustrating on that level too. Sometimes people don't know. They're like, well, they're myopic and they don't know. And it's like, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm horrified. You know, I would hopefully get the memo. And I did say that to one person and she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You're right. I'm so sorry. 5, 4, 3. So do you think I should text him? I'm like, blocked. Like, and that's the thing. You have the right to cut people out of your life. We got to trim dead ends. And that goes for more than just our hair, right? It's the end of the year. It's the end of the decade. Even if it's not, even if it's the end of the day or the week or the hour, you have the right to be like, this doesn't serve me. This is a currency that I am spending, whether it's time or energy or actual money on this person, this situation, that I am not getting things out of. But once you communicate your truth and communicate your boundaries and they still breach those, then you can honestly, without guilt or without thinking you're a bad friend, be like, I'm moving on from this. It doesn't have to be a big dramatic breakup. It doesn't have to be anything like that. You can block them, and if they're mad, they're mad. They made you mad. They made you mad, remember? Remember that? I remember it. It just happened. So again, try to get comfortable with people not liking you and people being mad. And maybe they're going to be mad forever. And maybe they're going to tell everyone that you're a bad friend. Oh no, I'm a bad friend. But say you don't want to cut someone off. Then you got to hold the line. Training people is like training a dog. They have to know that 100 times out of 100, X behavior gets Y response. Right? 100 times out of 100. Do not call me when I'm at the office. I'm not going to answer. Okay? Do not ask me to come pick you up when you're drunk. When you have Uber, I'm not going to come. Whatever it is, whatever weird thing that you've decided your manager, it's not weird. It's not weird. But it can be weird. It can be weird and niche. You just have to hold the line. And they're going to kick, they're going to scream like any child does throwing a tantrum, right? Because a tantrum means I'm not getting what I want. And then they're either going to accept it or they're just going to keep on disrespecting you. And like I said, if that's the data point that you're observing, they don't give a shit about my boundaries. They don't like this. Then you can start to shift that conversation. I have one friend who talks to me about politics, and I'm like, I cannot talk about Trump. I can't, please don't. I vote Democrat no matter what, okay? I march, I donate. I am on board. I cannot watch these news cycles. It stresses me out down to my very DNA. Does not matter. And so finally, I stopped responding to those texts, or I'm like, please don't text me about this. Please don't text me about this. Until it got through. It's hard. So communicate your boundaries. First, decide what they are. Walk your own emotional perimeter. Decide what they are. Communicate those to people. And like I said, it might be easier if you do it in like a group, like a blanket. So even if it is targeted towards like one person, be like at brunch, like, guys, you know what? I'm not going to tapas anymore. I fucking hate tapas. I hate it. It's so expensive and greasy. And no matter how many people are there, if there's 3 people, they'll only give you 2 bites. If there's 5 people, they'll only give you 3. So the women have to do this thing. It's like, who wants the last bite? Do you want the, no, I don't want it. No, you have it. And then you cut it into smaller micro pieces until you're splitting an atom. I put my foot down when I was like 24. I was like, I'm never doing tapas again. Don't invite me. I'm not coming. It's fine. Communicate your boundaries. And then if people keep walking through them, you are allowed to evaluate them in a different light. Maybe you're not my friend. Maybe you don't have my best interest at heart. And you're also allowed to just keep holding that line. Like, hey, I told you I'm not going to tapas. I hope you guys have fun. I'm not coming. I'll catch up with you later. I don't care that it's Megan's birthday. I'm not doing it. And at the end of the day, everyone can what? Die mad and die confused. Because all we got to do is die happy. But enough talking about death. Let's talk about life. Let's talk about changing lives, namely the GoFundMe for my little homeless mama friend. Like I said, if you guys would rather donate to her directly via Venmo, this is her information. But if you feel like donating to the GoFundMe, which we are going to use to get her to some permanent housing, we hit our $10,000 goal. I cannot believe it. Like, I literally can't believe it. This is just the beginning for our philanthropy. Shallonlester. It doesn't really work. I'm working out the kinks. Yeah, go to the GoFundMe. A $25 donation gets you a free question. Just leave it in the comment box and I will get to it. Also follow me on Instagram at ShallonXO and be sure to check out my podcast, Girl on Top.